Hello, everybody. This is Roland from your favorite Dota 2 podcast, Defense of the Patience. I am asking a lot of you on this commercial, and that is to go to defenseofthepatience.com, and in the top right, you will see a survey. This is going to give us money. Money that we will spend on terrible things, probably. I've always wanted a monster truck, and if you can help me achieve that, I'd really appreciate it. We've been doing this for 2 years now, and I now have a chance to get a monster truck, so that's pretty exciting for me. Check out the survey. If you don't want to fill it out, don't. But we do need some of you to fill them out. I'm totally rambling here, and I probably should have a script, but I don't have a script. And so this is going to go on for another 10 seconds because you're supposed to have a minute, and I'm at 52 seconds. Please go to the top right of defenseofthepatience.com. Help me make my dreams come true. Thank you for listening to Defense of the Patience.
Hey guys, you know me as Cyphus here on DotP, but I wanted to tell you about a new show we're doing called Let There Be Geeks, where we're dropping the screen names and getting into all the non-Dota 2 geeky things we love. Video and tabletop gaming, books, comics, movies, TV, plus geek and nerd culture at large. Find it on LetThereBeGeeks.com, iTunes, Google Play, and all your favorite podcast apps. Give us a follow at Let There Be Geeks on Twitter for the latest show announcements, and new episodes go live every Monday. Plus, you can tune in for specialty episodes released periodically where we go in-depth on one geeky movie, TV show, game, or topic. Again, you can find Let There Be Geeks at our website, LetThereBeGeeks.com, and on iTunes, Google Play, and all your favorite podcast apps. Now, here's the show. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Defense of the Patience. I'm your host Cyphus, and today my co-host is not Roland. That's right, we got rid of him. Actually, he just couldn't make it, and I thought who better tonight than a familiar voice to those of you who participate in the Inhouses every Wednesday night. The man himself, is it Grooty or Grouty?
Yo, it's Grouty.
Oh, okay.
It's not Grooty, as much as everybody would like to think. How's it going, Cyphus?
It's going. I think I exclusively reference you as Grooty on the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, several people exclusively reference me as Grooty now, but you're the only one that has a podcast to stand upon the platform, you know?
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
It's really Wazoo's fault, by the way. I mean... It
is. It all comes back to Wazoo.
And by the way, tonight he was like, "Oh, hey, who's gonna be on the show with you tonight?" I said, "Oh, it's gonna be Grouty." And I said, he said, "Well, what are you gonna talk about?" And I said, I think probably I'm gonna bring up Medusa because I know that he plays Medusa. And you were telling me before the show you've got some interesting thoughts on it, so we'll definitely get into that. And he said to tell you, "Oh, hey, you're a Medusa."
Yeah,
that's the Wazoo humor for you.
What a great pun!
Yeah,
everybody give it up for Wazoo next time you see him. 12 out of 10 comedy there.
So we wanted me to make sure that I dropped that one for you. So I did my due diligence.
I would agree. I'm definitely a Medusa.
Sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, he's not wrong.
So let's get into that. I made the lamest joke in the world to Roland earlier. We do it all the time. Any of us get onto a hero, but I was like, yeah, I don't play Dota 2. I play Medusa these days. What you said you have controversial thoughts on Medusa. What do you mean by that?
There's a lot of different builds that people will go on Medusa, and one of the things that I don't think is even controversial anymore is that Manta is just like a bad item on Medusa for what you get for what you pay. And there's been a whole lot of professional players that have discussed like the efficiency in the item that way. But the problem with that is that when you're playing Medusa, you almost always want to build a Yasha anyways. So I think it's okay to go for the Manta in the late game if you don't want to give up the Yasha's move speed. But oftentimes you'll end up dropping that for a second rapier or something anyways. So it's not like a big deal to only stay on the Yasha. So that's one of the big things that a lot of people they'll always just build a Manta, and it doesn't give you the stats that you want for that extra 2,700 gold that it costs after the Yasha.
So what would you build in its place?
So what I've been doing is like a very popular build from Black. He's probably my favorite person to watch that plays Medusa. And what he'll do is he'll go Phase Aquila and then Mask of Madness Yasha. And then he'll just go super farm mode with that because you get all of the move speed you need. And then because of the way that Mask of Madness and Mana Shield interact, you actually get like much more or a much smaller penalty for using Mask of Madness in a fight, which it helps her to not only farm but fight earlier. So it's an interesting build for like it's basically for maximum farm efficiency is what it's there for. And another thing that I'll often do is before I go back for Scotty, because that's usually my big item of choice, if my farm is good, we'll pick up just a Demon Edge because I know I'm going to want one later, and it's the most gold efficient damage in the game.
So, okay, so walk me through. So if let's assume everything went your way in the safe lane, what's your build from like start of game to end game?
In the safe lane, it depends on if I'm going to be contested in their off lane, right? So like if they're sending a duel off lane, I'll definitely get snakes. If not, I'll just take a point in mana shield and I'll level up stats mostly.
Okay.
And that just is another thing to do to help you farm. Some people still like to get snakes because it does help you farm stacks if you get enough creeps with the mana to steal from them. So you can constantly snake. But oftentimes I'll skip snake if I'm just going to be alone in the safe lane with support and just having somebody stack for me. So I'll skip snake almost entirely. But if I'm contested, I'll have snake just because it helps you to secure the lane a little bit better. With like an extra stun or something. You can
I always max snake because
force them out.
At our level, like it's almost necessary to, right? And it's almost always a dual lane.
Yeah, you'll have 2-1-2s almost all the time in your level, so you probably still want to max snake because the skill is just so much damage if you're using it right and getting like the last bounce onto a hero.
Yeah, which I feel like I'm getting super good at.
Yeah, I find that's more important when you play Medusa mid, which is another thing that we could talk about if you want. But my item build doesn't vary too much depending on if I'm playing her mid or safe lane.
But your ability build will?
Yeah, the ability build definitely will change because if you're playing her mid, you want to abuse the fact that you have a one-on-one matchup, and Snake is so good at doing that. It's like if especially if it's a melee hero, you can throw at Snake as they're coming in for a last hit or something, and then level 3 Snake, they lose half their life if you get them with the last bounce, and then they're like, I played against like Ember Spirits and stuff, and they're just trying to bottle crow at some points because of how much damage Snake is doing to them, or like ferrying out salves constantly. And it's just like, it's a very strong lane dominating skill if you know how to use it correctly and abuse your opponent's positioning.
So like, what would you vary up though with, what would you vary up with item build? What's the difference in your opinion between mid and safe?
In the mid lane, I don't know. I rarely go the Mask of Madness build in the mid lane because I feel like I need to be more active because I have a level advantage. So the Mask of Madness build, I feel like, is more for farming, and I don't think that you should be farming as much if you're playing Medusa out of mid because you are maxing Snake, and you're getting it before your opponent's levels are high enough to where Snake's damage doesn't matter, because it does matter. So like TPing in and using your ult and then snaking like 2 people, that is a huge turn on a team fight. And that's one of the things with Medusa is so many people just assume that it's just farm and then win at 90 minutes, because she can hold megas forever, and then you just walk down mid with 2 divine rapiers and then just plow through their buildings. But I think that she's actually a lot stronger at fighting in the mid game from the mid position than necessarily people assume she is.
Yeah, I mean, that's almost exclusively how I play her as late game. That's I
think that's the correct way.
In
the safe lane, that's the correct way, is to secure the late game, because that's what she's good at when she's behind on levels. But if you're ahead on levels, like I said, and you can get the snake bounces that you want, then you just do so much damage in the early game because, level 7, you can just basically kill anybody with, 1 stun and a snake that bounces 4 times.
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, I know you're right. I mean, I haven't thought about it, and I maybe run her mid once, and I definitely, I didn't vary the build at all. There was no, there's no reason to. And I'm still like, so I've been going after phase. I usually pick up Lincoln's first, and then I pick up Yasha, and then what else do I normally do? I haven't been buying divine rapiers on her, and the big reason why is because I feel like I'm still a noob. I feel like I'm gonna die at some point.
Yeah, it's scary. I would say that rapiers you should be purchasing them if you're super far ahead or super far behind. But if you're in the middle of that, if it's like a close game, you should be getting Daedalus.
And that's what I usually do. Is I prefer the Daedalus, or sometimes, I mean, depending on the game, I'll pick up MKB.
Right. MKB should only be getting picked up if you're anticipating a butterfly on the other side, or they already have a native evasion.
But
otherwise, you should be getting dataless.
I never build butterfly on her. I always go manta on her. I've never done Mask of Madness. That does sound fun.
Yeah, it's more for just farming quicker. You know, use it to move through camps. You shoot a little faster.
Well, and the lifesteal's kind of nice. Like, I mean, it's on.
Lifesteal is good. So
she basically has like 2 forms of lifesteal at that point when you factor in Mana Shield and the Snake. You know what I mean? Like, it's super interesting to think about, like, stacking that capability.
One thing that I would say is I'm not a big fan of Lincolns on Medusa, and when I did get it, I usually would get Yasha first still, just because the move speed's so important on Medusa. And then that's where you get into the problem of people starting to build Manta first, because you already have a Yasha and you buy your first orb, and then you're like, oh, should I try to finish this Lincoln's, or should I
just get the Manta,
turn into a Manta, or try to get to Scotty?
Well, and then I always feel like when I go Manta, I did that a couple of times for sure. Like, I had that exact scenario where I got my phase, and the first item I decided to go for, because it's what I do on other carries, is I build the Asha, get that move speed up early. Mm-hmm. And then it was Roland who talked me out of it, and I know I should know better than listening to Roland. But
well, the one thing I can say in your defense, though, is that Lincoln Sphere is a much, much better item now than it used to be, to the point where I think it is an okay item to even go first. I don't think it's terrible anymore. That being said, I don't usually get it.
Do you get BKB?
Yeah, that's the item that I'll go for if I'm ever afraid of magic damage being a problem, because it'll help you more in the late game than a Lincoln's will. You'll always end up replacing Lincoln's in the late game, but BKB is an item that you can keep in your kit at 6 slots.
Yeah. So well, I mean, it's providing a little damage, a little strength.
It has a little bit of everything you want, but
it definitely isn't what you want
to be able to attack.
It's not what you want stat wise, though. You know what I mean? Like the
BKB?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
the thing is,
the strength is nice, but you would get that strength with the Lincolns, you know?
Yeah. In the late game, though, the thing that's going to lose you the game is not being able to attack. And Lincolns, depending on their composition, isn't going to stop that. But 5 seconds of attacking with, 2 rapiers, or a rapier and a dataless, or whatever,
well, and the mana, I guess the mana regen from Lincolns is nice too.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, the stats have been significantly buffed on that item, so it's a better pickup than it used to be. But I mean, like a year ago, when it was just everybody always went Lincoln's first on Medusa, and it was not a good investment in money. Well, in my opinion, but now it's okay.
At my skill level, all I see is, let's see, I've had, in the last week, like 25 Omni Slashes wasted on me with the Lincolns. I like you get that.
Well, that doesn't stop Omni Slash. It just stops the first slash. Like the very first attack doesn't do damage.
Oh, okay.
But then the rest of them still will.
Oh, okay. Well, I was under the assumption that I was, destroying, or basically having every Omni Slash wasted. That sucks to hear. Yeah,
not quite. It used to work like that in Dota 1. I don't know when they changed it to.
That's a shame. But yeah, I mean, you see shit like that. I mean, you see Dooms get wasted. You see, you see Ruptures get wasted. That happens all the time at our level. So I feel like I probably get a little bit of extra value, but I'm always tempted to go for the BKB. Especially against lineups that are like light on the single target abilities.
Right. Especially if they have a lot of AoE stuns, then your Lincoln does nothing. And it's not an item that I get early in the game, and that's another thing that makes it important to remember, is that in the late game, a 10-second BKB when you have, a dataless and a rapier, or, some other huge items, 10 seconds of being able to attack can win the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what you want to think about with BKB is like, if I'm in a game where I need to be able to attack for 10 seconds for us to win a fight and win the game, buy a BKB.
Yeah, 100%. Well, and especially, you're right, late game, 1 10-second run means winning a fight, which probably means winning a game. When you get to it, there's always that point in the Dota game where winning the next fight means, or winning a big fight means winning the game.
Yeah.
Okay. I realize we're monopolizing the conversation with Medusa, but it's all I've been playing lately, so I'm definitely interested in it.
Yeah, you're playing Medusa 2 by Valve, right?
Yeah, that's right. So all right. I'm gonna go forward. You would suggest like maybe swapping out the Link. Definitely not going Lincolns first.
Well, I think it's okay. I think it's defendable now, and it used to never be, but people did it anyways. So I'm kind of biased against it. So it does all the things that you said, and especially at your level, getting a Lincolns at 18 minutes, roughly 16 minutes, is pretty good because, like you said, people are very trigger happy with their spells. They just want to get them off right away, and sometimes that won't. You'll stop big ults and stuff like that, and it'll help you get away. But that's another argument for like the Yasha first is that thing also can help you get away depending on what you're up against. Yeah. So if you want to keep going Lincolns first, I would say do what you're comfortable with. But in my opinion, I would not go Lincolns first.
So maybe
in fact, I almost never build Lincolns on her. And I don't know if that's right or wrong. Like I said, this is just like me watching Black play. This is his preferred build for pubs at least.
So would you suggest going like Yasha right into Scotty?
That's something I've done before. The biggest thing that I've noticed from him was picking up the raw demon edge in like the middle of your item progression because of the amount of damage it adds to you when it allows you to be able to TP into fights and ultimate and get kills instead of just saving people.
Yeah,
because of the amplification from petrification.
I mean, do you feel like that dominates more from the mid than it does from
I do it in
lane?
either lane generally. I'll pick it up before I go for the Scotty after Yasha, usually in either lane. And I'm sure that I'll hear from Mercenity and Fafnir tomorrow that it's a terrible idea, but I mean there's maths there that says it's not bad to pick up the extra damage that early.
I look at this as tomorrow I'm going to get 25 tweets with new Medusa build suggestions, and I'll just try them until I find one that works.
Sure. I would say if you like the Lincoln's build, if it makes you feel comfortable, keep playing it because
it doesn't. I'll be honest.
It doesn't make you feel
no. I mean, I'm doing it. I'm at the stage with Dusa where I still feel like I'm learning that hero. I mean, I feel like I'm mastering it. Like I feel mechanically like I'm getting to a point where I can guarantee I'm going to farm an entire wave. Like I'm getting to that point with her. If I'm uninterrupted, if I'm not having to worry about harass, like I feel like I'm getting to that stage where I know I can maximize getting my farm. I'm comfortable during the laning phase, and I'm starting to figure out strategically what I want to be doing and when throughout the rest of the game, at least from the safe lane. I'll say from the mid, mid's one of those things where I don't like to fight for position in any sort of game, and usually when people see somebody put Medusa safe lane, they're okay with it. So I don't get too many arguments. And I ban out anti-mage beforehand, and I'm good to go in a pub, I feel like.
I mean, you still have to worry about Nyx and Invoker. Those are the other two strong counters, but even at your level, a lot of people will pick Invoker, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Invoker is nearly every game. But I'll say this about Invoker at our level, and that is that I feel like I still know enough in my infancy with Medusa to know that when I see an Invoker, I just pick up a BKB. And sure. I'll usually, at that point, I completely bypass the Lincolns. I usually go Yasha, BKB, and then I look to fight the Invoker, because at our level, dude, like you pop the BKB and an Invoker doesn't know what the fuck to do. He throws his spells anyway. He wastes his entire combo on you. It still gets launched, and then you just walk up to him through his big old meatball and you just punch him in the face.
That is correct.
So I at least know enough to do that, but like I have no problem ditching the Lincolns in my build. In fact, I kind of like hearing you say it. Just because I don't know, I feel
try out the Mask of Madness build in your next game.
So should I go Yasha Mask of Madness, or
it's phase Aquila, and then you want to pick up your Mask of Madness and then go back for the Yasha.
Phase Aquila,
because the Mask of
Madness,
Mask is the third item because you get the sustain out of it, so you can go to the jungle and allow your support to catch up in the lane.
Yeah, and
then you can also push out a wave super fast and get back before TPs can come in.
Okay, yeah, all right. I'm sold. I'm definitely gonna try it. So what do you? And then from there you go, Scotty.
Yep. Usually I'll pick up Scotty, or depending on how the game's going. If it's going really well for me and I have a ton of farm, I'll get the Demon Edge right after I get Yasha done.
Sorry, I keep forgetting the Demon Edge. I'm totally gonna remember that. I swear it.
Otherwise, I'll get the the first orb, and then if it's going poorly, I'll get the first orb and then decide from there if I want the damage or if I need to just try to safely farm and get Scotty as fast as possible.
And if you're right, and if you're doing it really quickly, going the demon edge is awesome because nobody's accrued the armor to make that physical damage not worth it at that point, and you're dishing it out that much faster with the Mask of Madness.
The thing is, if you do that build in that order, you want to avoid fighting. If you get the demon edge first, it sounds unintuitive. You'll be good to TP into fights that are already going on, but you don't want to go looking for fights on your own. You want to counter initiate. You want to be build because you're not tanky yet, and it just helps you farm even faster. And that's like the whole idea is you're trying to turn this like ranged slow hero into an anti-mage. So everything you buy, just like, okay, I kill creeps super fast. I kill creeps super fast. I kill creeps super fast. And then all of a sudden you just have so much money that it doesn't matter that you were squishy for like this 8-minute period, because you'll go from having that demon edge to having a Scotty done in 7 minutes or something.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy how much faster that
helps you. You turn the demon edge into a divine.
It depends. Again, like I said, if you're super far ahead or super far behind is when you want the divine.
Otherwise, you turn it into an MKB?
Dataless always, unless they have something that has evasion or you think they'll buy a butterfly. Because right now, Dataless, with the changes that they did to the proc on MKB, Dataless is always more damage unless they have evasion on average.
Okay. Huh. That's great food for thought. Okay. All right. Yeah,
even if you're hitting buildings, it's more damage to have the Dataless.
Okay. Yeah, I'm totally gonna try that. I'm psyched to do it. I wish it wasn't so late. I would play one tonight.
Okay.
So I want to talk about the in-houses because
sure. I do those.
We plug them at the end of every show. I try my damnedest to remember. It's we have too many plugs.
Yeah.
It gets.
I mean, you guys usually get enough jabs at me. You remember to do them most of the Mondays, I think.
We remember to hit old Grooty up. So we plug them every Wednesday, but I feel like they don't get enough love. Like they don't get enough discussion. We're in the 3rd season.
Mm-hmm.
And what we've done 2 weeks in a row now.
Yep, 2 weeks. First 2 weeks in the books.
And of course, the new one coming up. For those who maybe don't listen through all the plugs, they'll start at 9 p.m. Eastern. And Grouty hosts them. Who's been casting this season so far?
It's mostly been AG casting. ZD's been doing some stuff with work. So I talked to him this week, and he said he'll be back to cast soon. I don't know if it's like Valve soon or actual soon.
Sure, yeah.
So we'll find out. But I think in the next 3 weeks or so, ZD will be back casting. We also had recently, this past week, Z-Rock. He's the manager for Team Freedom. He came on and cast a few games. And that was pretty fun because we got a more high-level insight to the games being played by our low-level players. So it was interesting for him and for us, honestly. So that was fun. And then aside from that, there's been Proud's cast a game, Fafnir's cast a game, and I think Ursinity's cast one, as well as Roland. So we kind of spread around, and that's just the mainstream casters. So the way it works for people that haven't played in them or come and watch the Twitch stream is that we do 3 different lobbies, and each of those lobbies we run 3 different games. So there's a total of 9 possible games. If lobbies don't fill, obviously we don't run them, but most of the time it's 7 to 8 games a night. And what we do is we have other community members casting on the games that aren't on the stream featured. And then when the first game, if it ends before any of the other games, I'll switch over. So we have other community members like Wivrix and Golgiap have been casting most of the second lobby. And then we've just been floating through some extra people that wanted to try out casting in the 3rd lobbies.
Did you see those mugs that Wivrix sent me, by the way? From Dota Brews? The mugs, the beer mugs.
Oh, yeah, I saw them. They look pretty sweet.
Yeah, for those, at DotP_Cyphus, you can buy, I think it's my pin tweet. They look super cool. But yeah, anyway, sorry not to interrupt you there, but you were saying. Yeah,
the only thing that I kind of asked for people that are interested in casting is, obviously be part of the community, be on Discord, joining conversations and things like that. But is that if you're interested, contact me, and then I do a mic check with everybody, because we've had problems in the past where people's microphones, flub with 2 B's, didn't work quite right in Dota 2 TV and Dota TV, and it caused problems with the casting. And we've also had things with people had too much background noise where it was very distracting. And I mean, I hate to sound like I guess I'll just say a Nazi, and
Sorry.
it's just like I take the production of the in-houses pretty seriously, and I just want to make sure that they go
and it's been
with
awesome.
as few problems as possible.
All right, so now I'm gonna I'm gonna rain some praise on you real quick. We did. I mean, I think people remember when Roland and I were in charge of the in-houses. The production was all right, but it wasn't like you have taken it to another level. The all of the stills, all of the scenes that are set up, it transitions beautifully. It looks great. It runs smooth. Anytime there's an error or there's something like going on with it, like, I mean, you're super involved. There's a lot of work that like goes into just keeping those 3 games running simultaneously on a stream with with admins in all of the lobbies, and that stuff gets kind of taken care of behind the scenes. And but it looks so calm, cool, and collected right on the stream.
Yeah, thanks. I will have to say that there's other people helping me out with the administration side, especially Blackheart. She does a ton of work for just making sure that we get everybody's links to Dota Buff and things like that, and hosting lobbies and etc. Wivrix also is doing a lot to help me administrate by just hosting the lobbies and then taking screenshots of the games at the end so that we can update the stats pages. And I would say that it's gotten a lot tougher to do the administration side while I'm doing the streaming. So I'm very glad that I have help doing that. Because before, when you guys were streaming and I was just handling most of the admin side, it was a lot easier to handle that stuff. I could get, I could go into every lobby and get all of the player numbers and all of the games, and they'd be fine. But I can't really do that now because I have to keep this stream's game up. So I have to have outside people helping me to update the stats that way.
Yeah, and it's just cool that we have that community available to do those types of things. Wivrix, Blackheart, Broken Wings, all the folks you mentioned, like they are a huge help. It's also cool just because I feel like it's a relatively safe environment. We've had a couple of issues here and there, where
there's definitely some problems with just the format and things like that, and just trying to be inclusive is kind of excluding some people from wanting to play is the problem. And it comes down to just like lots of people listen to the show and they're not all in the exact same range of players, even though, when you started, it wasn't for people that were 6K people are interested in DotP now, and they want to be involved in the community, and it's tough.
Yeah. Well, I'll say that, the times that I've played with some of the higher skill players, and it's one thing that actually like, on last Wednesday's show, Ursi was kind of saying to me is that it's you don't do yourself any favors by just playing with people at your skill level. It's good to play it with people below you, and it's also good to play with people above you, for various reasons. When you're playing with folks below you, when you're explaining something that they need to know or to help them improve, you're kind of solidifying in your mind why you do something and helping and just making sure that you are making a logical decision. On the flip side, you are being enlightened when you're playing with somebody who's a little bit higher skilled than you are, and you see them do something. I mean, I think maybe the best bit of advice that I ever got from anybody was while we were in Seattle. I had Ursinity standing behind me while I was playing, which is a little different than being in a game with them, but regardless, it was nice. And he was telling me that I move around too much when I'm last hitting, when I'm in lane. He's like, hey, you don't have anything to dodge right now. You don't have anything to dodge right now. And I realized, like I've carried over this tendency from playing like old first person shooters, where movement is life.
Strafing.
Right. Yeah. And like I don't need to do that in Dota. I can sit and be calm and kind of, even though there are rapid fire decisions to be made, I can think about what I'm going to do next. And I don't necessarily just need to be clicking, Right.
One thing that people say they do that for is to keep their like hands moving so that they're ready to make decisions. But one thing that you can do is just move your mouse back and forth. You don't have to be right clicking every time you move it left or right if you're just worried about keeping your hands warm and the blood flowing and things like that. But I remember I was watching that game when Ursinity was telling you that, and I kind of have the same problem where I feel like I move too much. But for me, I use it more as a tool for helping me last hit because I'm using the turn radius to time when I'm going to attack the creeps.
I feel like I do a little bit of the same thing. Because right. I don't use a stop key. I click the hero to stop.
Okay.
But I know I've heard people tell me that that's terrible to do.
Yeah, I mean your whole hotkey setup is the most garbage thing I've ever seen, to be honest. So, but it works okay for you. So
Yeah, okay at best. Okay,
home
at best.
row.
I can't help it. I wish I hadn't. I honestly do wish I hadn't, because now at this point, like it's become reflex just the order. Like I'm not thinking at the time. I was looking at an ability and thinking I need to hit A. Like I mean, it was my first MOBA. Like it was the first time I'd really played. I guess that it was similar to RTS, but even RTS kind of lends itself decently to using the home row if you want to. Like it doesn't impact it that drastically if you play an RTS that way. But playing a MOBA, yeah, I think the QWER, like I wish I was using that. I do. I really wish I had just left it be and let it be, because it's now it's instinct. I'm not thinking A. I'm not thinking S. I'm not thinking D. I'm thinking use that spell, use this spell, use that spell, and it's just muscle memory at this point. And
When
it would
I
have
went
gotten that way.
from Dota 1 to Heroes in New Earth, and that was the first game that had really implemented that QWER. I felt like I had been playing games with one hand behind my back, switching over. I was like, this is so much easier. It makes so much more sense. I wish that Dota 1 would have been like this. And I know that there was people that would use like key remappers to make like every hero have a profile so that it would be like QWER in Dota 1. And I was like, that's just too much work.
And I probably should go back to it, and force myself to learn some of those habits, and not just
play like a million bot games. Just
it
matter. Like,
might improve.
that doesn't matter anymore if you're playing bots, right? That you're going to screw up your spells.
Yeah, absolutely. I should totally. I should just do it. I should just commit and go back.
Yeah, just play a million games of Mask of Madness matches with QWER.
That's exactly what I'll do.
And then you're fixed. And then you can be like, Grooty, this is a terrible build. I can't believe you do this.
Yeah.
It only works with Black because he's an amazing Dota player and you suck.
That well, we'll see. We'll find out. If it works at the 2K level, that means you're a god. So, just so you know,
it might work at the 2K level. You just have to kind of avoid.
Have to avoid what? Sorry.
Ganks for a little while, against a Spirit Breaker. Probably not the best build.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay, I know I derailed us there because somehow I brought us back to Medusa, or you brought us back to Medusa. So the in-houses, I think it's been fun to continue that tradition, keep that going. Because in-houses started just kind of casually, like they be put together once in a while, and now it's turned into this pretty interesting, formal meetup every Wednesday. Where you get a chance to get a game casted, and the casts are entertaining, and definitely the games I've participated in, going back and watching the casters talk about something that I was doing, it's fun, but B, it's usually informative. It's interesting to hear somebody interpret your reasoning for doing something and going, oh hey, what I did was right, but for the totally wrong reasons.
Not those reasons, though. Yeah.
And just kind of figuring that stuff out periodically is really cool to see. So I definitely recommend anybody get involved if they want to. And the Discord's really easy to find now. Did you see we got that custom, Discord thingy URL?
Novelty URL or whatever they call it.
So I thought...
It's just discordapp.gg/.p, I think.
Yeah, so it's super easy to find now. And hell, we can start throwing it into the plugs as soon as I remember all that.
Yep. It's pretty cool. We met some people at TI that were working for Discord, and we had dinner with them some. And then I know Silver Fox was boozing one of them up at the after party, and now we've got a partnership. So that's pretty awesome. Have you guys gotten those hoodies yet? When do those show up?
I have no idea. I
think Silver Fox is the only one that's going to get one.
Yeah, probably. That's fine. I'll I got enough hoodies.
That's okay though.
I'm all right.
I have plenty of hoodies.
Not that I wouldn't like a Discord hoodie, but
I would love one too. But you could just sew all of your shirts that you have left over from TI.
Oh my god, dude! How did we end up with all the shirts being brought back? Like the most irresponsible people with all the shirts.
Well, I thought we were going to get one of those air cannons and shoot them in the stands,
Oh, we should have.
Plushies.
Even that would have been a better option. Or why didn't we...
We should have done that with the wristbands, too.
Did everybody at the meetup get a shirt? Do you have any idea?
I don't think so. I don't think that we handed them out to everybody.
Why did we... They should have... There should have just been a stack, right there with a big cardboard sign that said, "These are free, please take one."
Yeah.
Please take one. Because I didn't even think about it. I feel terrible, but we'll
me, with the wristbands, I just assumed that so many people were going to want them that they were going to be coming up to me all the time. I just didn't throw them around randomly and run out. And then we only used half of them.
Yeah, and there. Well, I am looking right now at an unopened plastic bag full of them.
Yeah, there's 100 of them there.
So we should have just tossed those into the stands. We should have. That's
Those definitely we should have been throwing them like baseballs and
Well,
letting them like just fly out to everybody because we were so high.
We'll never find a better like audience to do that with. You know,
Right?
Why didn't we?
TI7, let's go.
Yeah,
We got
well,
100 response.
we're gonna have a ton of stuff. Exciting news on that front. There is like a little storefront that's being built up where the shipping and all that stuff is not handled by me and Roland, so it means it'll actually get
sweet.
shipped out. So that's coming up.
So there you go, Australians.
That's right. We still owe a couple of Australians, I think, a shirt, but it turns out it's like $50 to ship something to Australia from the U.S. So yeah, so we got to look into that. Like, there's got to be a better way. That's all I ever say.
Yeah, they need to make a tunnel through the center of the earth.
Yeah, I should just be able to drop stuff down at this point, right? Is this not the 21st
From Utah
century?
to Sydney. There you go.
There should be a Sydney hole. All right, there's just one that I get to walk up to.
Hole.
Yeah.
Bad joke.
It's all right. It's you and me.
I'm
Of course, it's
sorry.
gonna be bad jokes.
I'm sorry,
Uh,
listeners.
So what? All right. So we should do your state of affairs because this is your first time, at least with me, doing the show. So
Okay.
this way, folks can decide whether or not they want to take all your Medusa advice.
My current solo is like 3363, and then my party's like 3420 something. I think I don't have Dota up to look at right now, but
That's
I very
close.
clearly remember 3363 for
Yeah.
solo, and I've been up to around 3950 before, but the
Then
Dota gods were not.
You rolling
kind to
your
me.
way back down.
Oh yeah, rolling down the hill for sure.
And you primarily play mid.
Well, I mean, for our 82L team, I started playing mid because we had 3 carry players on it, and now I just love Invoker, so I play a lot of mids. But I would say that at heart, I'm still a safe lane player.
Okay.
Like in most of my pub solo queue games, I'll go safe lane over mid, but I'll take mid if it's free.
All right. So who are your top 3 safe laners? Top 3 mids.
All right, safe laner, it is Anti-Mage number 1, Terrorblade number 2.
No. Gross.
And then number 3
Gross.
it's probably Medusa.
Yeah.
But
Fair
it
enough.
might be Phantom Assassin. She's a lot of fun to play, even though I don't think she's very good. It's just like games where you win with Phantom Assassin are so like gratifying. Like it just
Because
feels
they're
so
stomps. She either
because you just
stomps or she
crush
doesn't.
people.
Yeah.
You just show up and then a witch doctor sees you and you're like, here's a dagger, here's a crit. Goodbye, sir.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
like, I've
and
had
they're the
games
worst
where I
games
had,
to be
like-
on the other end of too.
yeah, oh yeah. I know. Like I've been on the other end of that before and I quit Dota forever.
Yeah, that's frequently the thought I have when I get snowballed by
Right.
a goddamn Phantom Assassin. So Terrorblade's kind of disgusting, though. I gotta say.
Yeah, he's always been one of my favorite heroes, like ever since Dota 1. I like the illusion heroes a lot. I would say Naga's one of my top 3 favorite mids, but I'd never play her mid anymore because why do that when you could just do an alchemist and get your radiance in half the time?
Yeah.
But my top 3 mids are going to be Invoker, because I play him like every game if I can,
Sure.
and then Dragon Knight because he's a different style and I'm pretty good with him, and Leshrac. And Leshrak's probably just like my favorite overall hero to play, but he is in the dumpster right now and will probably never make his way back out because of what he did to TI5.
Yeah, I see you playing Lesh all the time. I feel like though still.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And AD12, that was one of our like pocket strategies. We went like 5-1 or 6-1 with it or something like that in like scrims and matches combined. So like it was a good strat for us. It worked out pretty well. He's a really good tower pusher still, and then he can still kind of flash farm because his ultimate is still pretty good, but you have to contest with like the fact you can't stack a lot anymore because of the magic resist.
So I mean, what's the just good old push strat whenever you're picking Lesh then?
Yeah, a lot of people underestimate the amount of damage that. So you just max Split Earth and Diabolic Edict, maxing Diabolic Edict first, and then you just draw them into fights like at a rune, or you run past their wave with Diabolic Edict on and then get a stun on them, and then they just melt because it does a ton of damage if they're the only person in range of it. Like, it's absurd how much damage it does at like level 5 when you have 3 points in it. And then if you hit them with the splitter, they're probably just dead every time. And even if you miss, you can still win man fights. Like, back when Leshrac was overpowered, I would pick Leshrac into Templar Assassin and just max Diabolic Edict, and they would always try to fight me because they just assume I'm going to spam lightning on them, but refraction negates that. And then all of a sudden they have no more refraction charges and they're just melting. And then you stun them and then they stand there until they're dead, kind of thing. So it's just it's a hero where you have to be cognitive of like what your spells do and when to pick the right ones. But now, because of the nerfs to lightning, it's just like not a good spell. So I almost never.
But I mean, like he was nerfed like 2 patches ago, right? I want to say
he was nerfed the patch after TI5.
Yeah,
so several patches ago, and nerfed very hard.
Well, I mean, like yeah, I guess yeah.
The reason that I started playing him again was the Bloodstone changes, and I don't know, that was I think 2 patches ago where they added the 12th charge to the starting.
Oh yeah.
They made it 12 instead of 8, and that helps. It's not like the biggest buff in the world. I thought I was going to bring Storm and Leshrac back into being playable.
I did too.
Didn't really.
That was my initial thought too. It's just that starting even with the nerf to Bloodstone previously, that still felt pretty decent. Getting those 4 extra charges.
It just turns out that 4 extra mana per second doesn't counterbalance the extra magic resist that all the creeps in the jungle get.
Yeah,
that's really the problem. Like, mana regen doesn't matter on Storm really at all, unless you're like zipping around killing people. And with Leshrac, it's negligent until you have a lot of Bloodstone charges as well. Because once you get to a certain point, you can almost leave your ult on all the time. But yep, those are my 3 favorite mids.
All right. Oh no, I was just thinking about Lesh, reminiscing about. I remember the days. Like I do remember.
Because I played him before he was OP and I had a really high win rate. When he was OP and had a really high win rate, and then now it's I think it's around 70 or something.
Yeah, so. I kind of had that. Well, I won't say I picked him before he was OP, but I had that OP love affair with 2 heroes in my Dota career. I feel like one was Bloodseeker.
Okay.
I got to have a good time with Bloodseeker whenever he was overpowered, and at 2K levels with Bloodseeker, man, was it fun! There were many.
You probably never played the most OP version of Bloodseeker.
Probably not.
That was Dota 1 when you were playing on Battle.net pubs without any like apps that reduced latency, because you'd cast Rupture on people and they would like, even if they hit stop immediately, if they were already moving, they'd just die before the lag caught up to their so they'd just be walking. They're like, no, stop, don't keep moving. And then they just lose half their health before they actually would stop. So that was, in my opinion, the most OP version of Bloodseeker. Was
fair
just
enough.
Battle.net's shitty latency.
But I also had that with Outworld Devourer, and like, oh man, I had like a 75% win rate with him. After it took about like 5 or 6 games to get like semi comfortable with him, or get to the point where you can make, because all you got to do is survive through the laning phase, and then he just turns into a beast. You know what I mean? Like it was insane. You could even come back with him pretty decently if you had lost in the laning phase. But all you had to do was just kind of successfully get out, and then by then, if you just had the levels and didn't have the farm, you were still a monster.
I've been stomped by OD many times in my life. He's
But I recently picked him up against a like an all strength lineup that this team ran against us in a pub, and man, it was fun. I do miss the days of the OD. I wish I could pick him up a little bit more. And I even thought about it. Like I thought about kind of like taking the, I think your stance with Leshrac, because like you don't see Leshracs get picked. Like if you picked a Leshrac against me, you might have a slight advantage, even just in the fact that I'm not playing against him with frequency anymore. And I'm, you know what I mean? Like I don't remember what necessarily I need to be doing or what I need to be worried about, or I might not even worry about him at all, and in the hands of a decent player, maybe I should be worried,
The coolest thing about the Leshrac pick when we were running it in Captain's mode, we would always bait out a last ban on Death Prophet. And I didn't even want to play the Death Prophet anyways, but because they, fill the same kind of role, I could just go to the Leshrac instead, and then they would never, like, nobody bans out a Leshrac, right? Like, a hero is an unpicked hero at TI out of the 5 that didn't get picked.
Yeah, that's painful though to be in that 5.
Which is kind of
just a little bit
sad. I was like, even Jakiro. I think Leshrac kills towers better than Jakiro though, but Jakiro has a lot of other utility that Leshrac does not.
I mean, and let's be honest, like nobody's running Leshrac as a support. They're running him as
they won't even run him with the Shadow Demon like they used to.
What was the thinking with Shadow Demon Lesh?
You would just disrupt them so that you could always land Split Earth. Just in an aggro lane, it was a good combo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like
anything that delays
it. It's the Yules set up at level 1 if you have the Shadow Demon on your team with you.
Yeah, kind of the same concept of anything that delays long enough for the AA freeze.
Yeah, it's the same thing with like it used to be Lina and Shadow Demon or Leshrac were the two pairs. Like you would first pick or first phase the Shadow Demon, and then if they banned one of them, you'd get the other, and they're not going to waste 2 bans on supports.
Right. That's cool. Yeah, that's a combo I hadn't thought of at all. But you know what I mean. Like I even thought about picking up OD because I feel like I'm not seeing him anymore. So that might even work to my advantage in a lot of ways. You know.
I think he's pickable. I mean, I've definitely lost mids to last pick ODs. He's actually pretty strong against Invoker unless they don't know what they're doing, which is something that happened to us in our last 82L match or 2 ago, where I played an OD mid and he just wasn't killing my spirits because the orb just blows them up.
Oh yeah, whoa! Picking up OD versus summon teams. That's huge. That's it was so much fun. I'd love seeing Nature's Prophet and Warlock picks, like because those were 2 heroes that you'd see a lot of. And frequently, I remember coming across teams that would pick up both of them, and I just grab that OD and just eat everything that was developed, everything that was summoned, just destroy it.
That's what he does.
So much gold, so much influx of gold.
My current love affair, though, if we want to talk about some different heroes, would be Underlord in the off lane. I'm having so much fun playing this hero right now.
I still have not played Underlord, but I've definitely played with enough and against enough.
Yeah, right now I'm undefeated, 3-0, casually just the best Underlord offlane player ever.
Sure, yeah.
But it's nice that you can basically just screw up the other team's safe lane just by existing. You level Aura level 1, and then you just walk in there and you like take a couple last hits, and then people can't trade with you anymore, and it's great. It's a great feeling. So I mean, it doesn't work out if they run 3 people in the safe lane, but most don't really do it that much.
Yeah,
and he can still, like with the Firestorm, you can still just farm even if you're getting pushed out, and you can recover relatively well.
If the Firestorm gets the last hit, do you still get the bonus damage?
As long as you're in range with the aura. So
right.
If you're like sitting in the trees and the fire's killing things, yeah, you would.
Okay. Yeah, I get why he works in the offlane, or why people think he does. I'm curious to see what he shapes up to be, or if he winds up being. He almost feels like he might wind up being like a 4 support. You know what I mean?
I played him as a 4 with AG. He played Rubik, and I played under. Just we did Gang Squad. I even said it while we were playing. Me and him just walked around like you and Roland killing people. And it's great because Pit of Malice is such a good like we had Lift in the middle of a Firestorm and then a Pit of Malice afterwards. So people would just die because Firestorm does like that percentage-based damage on top of the extra damage it does.
Yeah. And
it also helps you take Roshan, which is one thing a lot of people don't know about Underlord. They don't realize that right now the way Firestorm is, because of the percentage-based damage, you just melt Roshan with it.
That I would love to run. God, I'm gonna see if I can talk Roland into it. I'd love to run Underlord AA. That would be a fun combo. The global presence that you could have with that support duo would be pretty insane.
Yeah, you could actually get AA into fights.
Oh, not just and just even for the early like laning phase roam to be able to throw down Pit on top of Chilling Touch. You know what I mean, and on top of.
Cold feet.
Yeah, cold feet. Like it feels like there's a lot of potential there. We're gonna take over Theorycraft Thursdays this week. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, but they always do a core and a support, man. They don't do that stuff. Yeah. Do it on Wednesday, whatever you guys are deciding to name that show.
we were talking about me mid Wednesdays. That was Wazoo's idea.
Yeah, I know, but now I have to update my graphics for the in-house.
Well, what do I call it?
I just
help me,
the
Grooty.
round table because that's the first thing you.
Yeah.
I was like, is this good, Roland? And he was like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah, the DotP roundtable I like. I feel like it's got a nice generic ring to it. It covers all bases. Me mid Wednesdays might be a little misleading, I guess, at times, potentially. I don't know.
Well, who would be the King Arthur of that round table, though? That's the real question.
Oh, God. I know who Wazoo thinks it is because he always thinks it's him.
Ursinity would argue it's him,
Yeah.
and then everybody would decide it's actually Skrunk.
Yes, yeah. Somebody who's not on the show. That's true. Somebody who's not available.
Skrunk is King Arthur.
Or, it couldn't be Flub Dota, right? It couldn't be Flub Dota with
Flub
two
with
Bs.
two Bs.
Yeah, it couldn't be him.
Flubba.
Because we know Ursi's better than him, and we know Ursi's better than Proud. So,
And we know Roland's better than their whole team then, right?
Yeah. Well, technically speaking.
Something raindrops.
Yeah.
I had to do that. Contractually obligated.
So we're into the season 3. Before we get going, before we leave the show, I want to talk about the in-house one more time. We were talking before the show that there used to be like an in-house meta, right? But you feel like that's kind of, it's not quite there yet for season 3, the in-house meta. Right.
We have a more diverse crew of people in the first few weeks, I think, than the previous seasons. But definitely Lion and Witch Doctor were picked or banned. And I'm just pulling this number out of my butt because we don't have a ticket on Dota, so we can't actually look at the
still waiting for that
statistics. Yeah, thanks, Valve. It's only been almost a year. But we can't actually look at the statistics. But I would say roughly 90% of games played in the second season had Witch Doctor and Lion picked or banned. So like those are the big supports that were always picked, and it makes sense because they can have a lot of impact with, you don't have to be an amazing player to be able to, like, you don't have to be an Earth Spirit player to play Lion proficiently, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to be a 6K god,
Well, and I still think a good chunk of our audience skews, new to Dota or newer to Dota. And those are great heroes to start with.
Correct.
How many games of Lion did I fucking spam?
Which is kind of funny because a lot of people point to Lich for like a super easy hero to pick, and I would say there weren't a whole lot of Lich games in first or second season. It would pop up occasionally, not often. A lot of times it would be people looking at like the pro meta and trying to imitate, or going to those tried and true, has a stun, has a strong ult, has a couple other abilities, is able to get a little bit of farm on their own if they need it. Those kind of heroes. And then the other big thing last season specifically was Sven. Sven was in so many games, and it wasn't even like he was banned a lot. He was just picked so much, and it was kind of like a joke. And it's part of the reason that for season 3, the graphic that I made was Sven.
Yeah,
like, that was a part of it. Was it like .p Sven houses is almost what it should have been called,
Yeah,
that hero.
I blame Roland a little bit. I blame Wazoo a little bit. All those filthy Sven pickers out there. Of which
the super Sven brothers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's nuts how many games I've played with one of the two of them on Sven. It may account for, you're talking one hero out of 110, right?
Yeah.
I will estimate, and this is a no joke estimate, that playing with the two of them has made him appear in about 45% of my games.
Sounds good.
Sounds statistically appropriate, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great hero though. Like, he has a lot of strengths. I mean, he does have very clear weaknesses too, and the kite. Sometimes you just get ahead of people and then you kill their whole team in one crit, so, which is also very satisfying if you've ever done that on one crit rampage. It's great.
I have never experienced that, but I hope to.
Yeah, you just blink in and like attack a creep and then it crits and the cleave damage. It's awesome.
Yeah, I just had my mind blown by the fact that Sven's cleave is a circle on Proudland. They were talking about that on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I had never heard that before. Of course, I assumed it was a
circle in front of him. So like his body is tangent to the edge of the circle.
That
So it doesn't hit behind him. It still only hits in front of him, but it's in a weird.
That's still kind of nuts though. It's not. It's not at all how you. It's definitely not how you're visualizing it looking down at the map.
When I think of it like a conic section or something like.
Yeah, I mean, it should start with him as the epicenter and then go out to the left and right.
Like 180 degrees, half circle kind of thing or something.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was kind of mind-boggling and makes me now want to go and fiddle around with it and see.
It is like you'll never be able to utilize that knowledge, honestly, in a game like where split-second decisions matter.
Well, then fuck Proud.
But it's just cool to think about.
Fuck Proud and Roland
it's fun
for
to fuck
telling me
around
about
with,
it.
for sure.
Why did they have to mess with my mind, man?
Yeah.
Why? All right, Grouty. Well, thank you for coming on the show today. It's been cool to chat about the in-houses and get your I'm sure very flawed views on all of these heroes.
Yeah, I'm sure that everyone will tell me that don't play Medusa like Grouty says, do these things instead.
So if you guys want to tweet mean things at Grooty, he goes by @GroutyDota on Twitter.
That's correct.
That's Grooty with a U.
Grooty with a U.
That's Grooty
oh
with,
no,
right?
that's gonna be a meme tomorrow.
That's how you found Grooty. Yeah, no problem, bud. So give him a follow. He tweets about the in-houses all the time, and in fact, because Roland and I are in charge of the .p show account, you can probably find out more quickly from Grouty when an in-house is going to go live than you can the .p show account. So you should give him a follow if you're at all interested.
You guys are pretty good about retweeting, though.
Yeah, every once in a while I look down at my phone and I realize that the only retweet option I have available is going live with the in-houses in 10 minutes, but it was an hour ago.
That's fair.
And I'm like, oh, shit.
I'll start tweeting things that are
more
not dependent on the time you see them then.
Well, we usually send out a tweet right after that, though. So just to be certain. But if you want to know right away, follow Grouty. Why are you trying to talk people out of it?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Follow me, guys. I would love to have a bigger.
That's right.
One more thing that I want to throw in about the in-houses, though, is I'm working on something and I'm gonna need a capture card to do it. But after I get it, I'm gonna try to get some picture-in-picture with like the secondary games going.
Ooh, cool.
So like when there's like a brief moment where everybody's just farming in game 1 or something, I'll try to bring up game 2 in like the top left corner or something in a smaller box kind of thing, like cut to another game in the NFL, something like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this to work, but I'm going to try.
Well,
so
it's an A for effort. It's ambition.
Yeah. I just like, as soon as I saw that split screen tri-lane stuff from PGL to Manila Major, I just like,
your mind
so many
started
ideas.
racing.
I was like, man, I need $10,000 worth of computers and 6 people right now.
Yeah.
So many ideas, but that's one that I think I can do on my own using my laptop and a capture card. So I'm going to try it and see what happens.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I look forward to seeing any and all innovations. That'd be
hashtag production value.
That'd be way cool. That's damn straight. All right, here we go. This is going to be the plug. Here's where we're going to start it up. DefenseThePatients.com is the website. Find everything there. Patreon links, Amazon links, the survey link, which if you guys don't mind, we'd really appreciate any and all help getting the survey completed. It's basic demographics. You go to DefenseThePatients.com, up at the top right, click the link. It asks for basic stuff. Your email address, which they don't send you any emails or any spam emails or anything like that. It's just to verify that we've got unique users. It's your age, your gender, your income. It's basic demographic stuff, but anything you can do there, if anybody who's willing to go take 5 minutes to fill out a demographic survey for us, we really appreciate it. To help us bring new advertising to the show, which will help us to bring new money into the show and possibly pay show hosts and buy better equipment, and upgrade, the servers for the website, and just kind of do and more giveaways for the in-houses. Speaking of which. It'd be cool to have even bigger prizes and cooler prizes just for doing in-house participation. So all that kind of stuff would be fun to do. And we'd love to continue to bring you free content. So any assistance there is much appreciated. Of course, you can also find us at .p_show on Twitter, Defense of the Patients on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, all your favorite podcast apps. Be sure to leave us a review. It's another great non-monetary way you can help out the show. Of course, the subreddit, hosted by Mr. Jay Goushi, the meme master himself. He's made a couple of I Am Grooty memes at my behest. I love Goushi. Every time we,
Me too.
Every time we plug it, I've got to. He's great. He's live in the Twitch chat. You guys are, sick and tired of hearing about Goushi, and you want to meet him. Just join the Twitch chat on the in-houses. He's almost always there, and he's got the memes, the dankest of the memes. So. And then, of course, the in-houses, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or is it Eastern Daylight Time, or whatever now? Aren't we EDT?
Just say Eastern. If it's Daylight Savings Time, we'll be on Daylight Savings Time. If it's not, we'll be on... It's currently EDT.
EDT, yeah.
It'll be switching soon to EST.
Right. See, I'm just trying to be accurate while you're here, Grouty. I know how you like to fact-check me,
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks. Do you like my plug style? Was it good for you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sad. I'm sated.
Okay. Just want to make sure you're satisfied with your DotP Monday experience. If you guys want to tweet at Roland and be like, hey, where were you? Feel free. He's at .p_Roland. He fucked up his sleep schedule working this new escape room job. I don't know if you've heard anything about that yet, but I'm trying to get him on Let There Be Geeks talking about what he's been doing over there. We took him to one escape room and he, you guys know Roland. He's impulsive.
They're so much fun though.
It's a blast. It was my first one as well. Like we're gonna go down and hit a bunch of new ones. But anyway, he's so gung ho about it. He's been talking up the guy who runs the one that's just down the street from us, and he's getting hardcore involved. He's laughing maniacally over a walkie-talkie, pretending to be a superhero villain. So there's some weird stuff going on in Roland's life right now. But he'll be back with me next Monday. And I think that's going to be it. Did I miss any plugs, Grouty? Do you remember anything that I don't remember other than @FlubDota with 2 B's?
Yeah, I was going to say follow @FlubDota with 2 B's.
Yeah.
But that was the last one that I could think of.
The man with the broken mic.
Oh, wait. YouTube and Twitch.
Oh, yeah. Twitch is very important. You're right. If you guys want to watch the Inhouses, that's Twitch or twitch.tv/.ptv, and then we're .ptv1 on YouTube. So, all right. That's it. I'm killing it, Grooty. You good to go?
Bye.
Until next time, this is Cyphus for Grouty saying good luck and Godspeed.
I would agree. I'm definitely a Medusa.
Sure, yeah.
So, he's not wrong.